3 men is back.
Oh, okay, Jay, boys, do it again. Oh my gosh, the red got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. Something is true, something but oh, look at that, my God.
This is your boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Daktronics Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 2 video. We can go with that. So I was thinking of doing 7, but I remember what I said last week. And yeah, we're going to switch it up and we're going to be doing Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 commentary videos once again. We're bringing them back, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of things that I said last week we were talking about the whole situation involving Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers in terms of them paying Kawhi underneath the table, so to speak. Well, we got an update in regards to that. And before we get to the update, I just want to point out that this article was posted on Monday, August the 17th. Today is Wednesday, August the 19th. And in between those 2 days was my birthday, August the 18th. So yeah, happy belated birthday to me. All right, let's get on with the news real quick. So here's the deal. We got this ESPN article called Sources. NBA has no evidence Ballmer funneled money to Leonard via sponsors. So let's check this out. Again, this was posted by, looks like 3 people. Don Van Natta Jr., Baxter Holmes, and Ramona Shelburne on August the 17th. So here we go. The NBA has found no evidence showing Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money through team sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard in order to circumvent the salary cap, according to 3 people with knowledge of discussions between the two sides in recent days. Instead, the NBA is focused on whether the team's introduction of Leonard to team sponsors constitutes a violation of the league's rules prohibiting salary cap circumvention, 2 of the sources say. The league is examining whether the Clippers are guilty of, and this is a quote, failure to supervise, end quote, employees, though it's unclear what specific rule the team would have violated or what the penalties would be, 2 other sources said. The 11-month investigation into salary cap circumvention allegations expanded beyond, that's a mouthful by the way, expanded beyond Kawhi's deal with Aspiration, the now defunct green banking company at the center of the allegations, to at least 3 other companies that also had deals with the Clippers, 2 of the sources familiar with the talks told ESPN. However, sources say the league has presented no evidence that Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi. The league present initial findings of its investigation, led by law firm, Watchell, I think that's how you pronounce it, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz to the Clippers in late July. According to multiple people familiar with the matter, in recent days, both sides have been negotiating a resolution to the investigation, the people said. Those talks led by attorney David N. Kelly of law firm O'Melveny and Myers for Ballmer and the Clippers, and NBA General Counsel Rick, what's his last name? Buchanan? Yeah. At times has been, quote, spirited, end quote, one source said. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass did not respond to multiple requests for comment last week and Monday, including an email Friday that detailed ESPN's findings. In a statement posted on Twitter, I'm not calling it, we're not saying X, no. In a statement posted to Twitter Monday, Bass said, and this is a quote, ESPN's article regarding the Los Angeles Clipper investigation, for which the NBA declined to cooperate, contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. Ooh, interesting. The results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded, end quote. A spokesperson for the Clippers declined to answer questions about the nature or content of the NBA's initial findings or the ongoing discussions. But in a statement provided to ESPN, the Clippers said the team, quote, introduced players, including Kawhi Leonard, to companies which we had business relationships. Making introductions between players and team partners is both an ordinary practice by NBA teams and a common request of players and representatives, end quote. The statement also said the team did not, and this is a quote again, negotiate or dictate, end quote, the terms for Kawhi's endorsement deals. Continue on with the quote. The fact that a player has an endorsement relationship with a company that also does business with his team is not evident of salary cap circumvention, end quote, according to the statement. How long is this? Oh, this is a really long article. Oh my goodness, this is a really long article. So I'm gonna see if we can like skip and scan through some of these, but let's move on. So the NBA's investigation began after a September 2025 report from podcaster Pablo Torre that cites internal documents showing Ballmer invested $50 million in Inspiration through his personal LLC in September 2021. That month, the Clippers also signed a $300 million deal with Aspiration, making the company the quote-unquote first founding party of Inferno. Then, in April 2022, Aspiration signed a $28 million endorsement deal with Kawhi Leonard. An unnamed employee who purportedly worked for the banking company told Torre that Kawhi's sponsored deal, and this is quote, was to circumvent the salary cap, end quote. And the report characterized the contract as a quote, no-show, end quote, job. Ballmer made an additional $10 million investment in Aspiration on March 9, 2023. The league's investigation examined deals with companies including Daktronics, there they go, and Boingo Wireless. Okay, that's a new one that for me anyway. A wireless provider for the Intuit Dome. Sources familiar with the inquiry said. Earlier this month, Torre reported that Kawhi had a previously undisclosed sponsorship agreement, allegedly worth millions of dollars with Daktronics, the South Dakota-based company that designed the Clippers video board inside the Intuit Dome. But like Aspiration, there's no evidence that Ballmer funneled money through those companies, and in recent discussions, the league has focused on those companies only in the context of the Clippers introducing them to Kawhi and his representatives, sources say. A spokesperson for Boingo did not respond to a request for comment, and of course, same is said for a spokesperson for Daktronics. Moving on. Over the past 11 months, the Clippers and Ballmer had maintained that they had no involvement in Kawhi's deal with Aspiration and had denied allegations they broke league rules. The day after Torres' report, Ballmer told ESPN that Aspiration asked to be introduced to Kawhi and that the team made the introduction in November 2021. He said he, quote, eventually learned they had reached a deal, end quote, and denied he directed the company to strike one. This is a quote from Ballmer. Salary cap circumvention rules are important to the league, and I want the league to investigate. That's what he said at the time. That's what he told ESPN. Shortly after the allegation rose, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said it's up to the NBA to prove wrongdoing during its investigation. And this is a quote from him. I would be reluctant to act if there was sort of a mere appearance of impropriety. I think that the goal of a full investigation, is to find out if there really was impropriety. Ballmer, that end quote by the way. Ballmer has insisted repeatedly in conversations with confidants that he will not accept a league result that asserts he or the team intended to circumvent the salary cap and would instead bring the matter to arbitration, according to multiple sources with knowledge of his thinking. However, the conversation between Kelly and Buchanan are ongoing, and it's unclear what NBA punishment Ballmer or the team might be willing to accept, or if they choose to fight findings through arbitration. Finding a salary cap circumvention would constitute a violation of the collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and the National Basketball Players Association, the NBPA, in case you're wondering. As such, all parties, including the Clippers and the union, must agree on the findings and on any discipline. ESPN reported last month that sources close to the NBPA said the union wouldn't hesitate to take the matter to arbitration if the NBA sought penalties without sufficient evidence. Two sources familiar with the NBPA's thinking in the arbitration process said an argument that a sponsor introduction counts as salary cap circumvention likely would not survive. One of the sources said that's dead on arrival. That's a quote right there. Earlier in the recent negotiation between the NBA and the Clippers, lawyers for the league raised a decades-old salary cap circumvention case as a template for punishment, according to two sources with knowledge of the discussions. The NBA penalized the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2000 by taking 5 first-round draft picks and fining the team $3.5 million after the team signed an illegal secret agreement with forward Joe Smith that promised him a multi-year, multi-million-dollar extension. In the team's 2003 and 2005 draft picks were eventually restored. Interesting. The physical evidence of the under-the-table agreement helped establish one of the strongest penalties ever imposed for any NBA franchise or player. and it led to Smith's contract being voided, Timberwolves owner Glenn Taylor being suspended, and Vice President of Basketball Operations Kevin McHale taking a forced leave of absence. One league insider with direct knowledge of league business said a salary cap circumvention penalty based on players' introductions is, quote here, an outrageous overreach, and that it's the job of players' agents to ask for introductions to sponsors and potential endorsers, end quote. The person also said that if the league punishes the Clippers for introducing a player to a team sponsor, and this is a quote again, it will be felt across the league and players and their management won't stand for it, rather, end quote. Introductions between team sponsors and players are common around the NBA, according to owners and other league executives who have spoken to ESPN. There are also something that the league itself have encouraged. Interesting. In a slide from a 2024-2025 deck of teams, or deck 4 teams, regarding the business of basketball obtained by ESPN, the league lists best practice for successful strategies shared by teams from previous seasons. Continue on with this quote. Identity, what players are taking about or commenting on around the facility. The first point reads, continue on with the quote. For example, if players have noticed a new sponsor on the court or on their jersey or aren't familiar with what the company does, you might consider facilitating a dialogue with an executive from that company to talk about their business and their relationship with the team, end quote. Another slide regarding ideas for players' initiatives suggests bring in a member of a team partner, either a corporate sponsor or community organization, to discuss the impact that player appearances have in the organization. The NBA Operations Manual for 2021-2022, when the Clippers and Kawhi reached their deal with Aspiration, states that team representatives can't recommend a player to a team sponsor as a candidate for an endorsement arrangement. The team can, however, provide a sponsor with player contact information. And this is another quote. If teams are approached by business partners or other third parties, oh my God, I'm tired, or other third parties regarding a potential business relationship with a player, and that's a quote, by the way, the rule states, according to a copy of the manual obtained by ESPN, here's the quote again, teams should respond solely by providing the third party with contact information for the player and or his agent, end quote. Ballmer told ESPN in September 2025 that his team found the email that makes the first introduction. Continue on with his quote. The introduction got made and then they were off to the races on their own. We weren't involved, he said. I eventually learned that they have reached a deal. I had no idea what the deal was, end quote. And then it brought up the fact that the Clippers agreed to trade Kawhi to the Raptors in June the 30th. So we're going to skip that part. Look, Kawhi and his agent and business attorney, Harrison Gaines, have had conversations with the players using over the past few weeks, and there have been no indication that Kawhi will face a void contract, according to a source with direct knowledge of the talks. And then they bring it up the trade thing again. Two sources with direct knowledge of the situation said Kawhi had maintained to the NBPA, League, and Rachel Limpton that he had no involvement in salary cap circumvention, and so far conversations around potential consequences have centered on him paying restitution for potential improper benefits from the Clippers, such as travel and lodging for his representative and uncle Dennis Robinson. If the case goes to arbitration, the arbitrator could compel document production, witness testimony, and order discovery. After a hearing, the arbitrator's ruling will be subject to an appeal panel made up of 3 people jointly appointed by the NBA and the NBPA. The appeals panel decision is binding. Only after that process does Adam Silver be authorized to issue any potential punishment. It's unclear how long a potential resolution to the investigation might take, particularly if the matter ends up in arbitration. In July, Adam said he wanted a resolution before the start of the upcoming season, regular season that is. Aspiration ultimately filed for bankruptcy in 2025. The company's co-founder, Joe Sandberg, pleaded guilty on 2 counts of wire fraud for his role in a scheme that prosecutors said defrauded investors out of $248 million. In June, he was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. In April, Ballmer's attorney wrote a letter to the judge sentencing Sandberg, in which he said Ballmer was flagrantly defrauded by Sandberg and lost his entire $60 million investment in Aspiration. According to the letter, Ballmer also commissioned an internal review of the Clippers organization and directed teams, employees of his charitable organization to cooperate with the NBA investigation. Okay, so as it stands right now, as we're now done with the article, look like Kawhi's in the clear. That's how it looks right now. The Clippers could still be in trouble, but I don't know how legitimate that is. So it's a wait and see moment. So obviously this is good for Kawhi. That means there's a very good chance that the trade will go through, sending him back to Toronto, and he can play in the upcoming NBA season, assuming he don't get injured, because he is kind of injury prone. But this is good news for Kawhi and those who are fans of Kawhi. So there you go with that. Now in terms of the Clippers themselves, again, they're not in the clear yet. They're still being investigated. But if I had to make a guess in terms of what the outcome of all this would be, I believe everybody gonna be innocent. Everybody gonna be found innocent. That's my theory. That's my prediction. So that's what I think will happen rather. So there's that. Now I'm gonna call it a wrap. And with all that said, y'all know what this is. This is boy New Jig Ass Speak, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.